Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and today's video is a bit different. I wanted to start a new series on my channel in which I show you some palettes that I would like to buy but I don't buy and I dupe instead. So we are starting this series with the Natasha Denona Love palette and the dupe I created for it. I have a quite large amount of single shadows, not as much as maybe other YouTubers, but more than the average person I would say, and I also stocked up on ColourPop palettes, and I don't know if you know that, but the ColourPop palettes are magnetic, so you can just pop shadows out of them, and I really wanted to be able to dupe a lot of palettes that I would like to buy, but instead I'm just duping them and I'm putting them together in a palette and then I'm really using them for some days, and then I can really find out what palette is good for me and what is more a temporary thing. So we are starting with the Natasha Denona Love palette today. I have seen the pictures on Instagram and my dupe is based on the swatches she showed in an Instagram story, so they may be not the same as some other pictures you have seen of this palette or as it's looking in real life, because I don't have this palette in real life. I don't have all colors in the world, so maybe some shadows are in a bit different color, and I think one time I decided to go for the perfect formula instead of the perfect color. So I will talk about that later, and I would say now let's hop right into the video. I'm just rearranging a bit so that I can show you some swatches on my hand. First we are starting in the top row, and the first shadow I picked on the swatch video, it looked like this would be a very pale cream or very light pinky cream color, and I picked up the shadow Hear Me Out by ColourPop. So it's just a nice cream color and I think it matches pretty good, and I think with a color like this it doesn't really matter if it's a bit more pink toned or a bit more cream or a bit more peach. I think that everyone has a shadow like this at home, so yes, we're starting with this ColourPop shadow. Then the next one is also from ColourPop. It's in the color Ready or Yacht. This shadow is also in the Baby Got Peach palette and it's also available as a single. I have it as a single. You can see these are the pen sizes from the little palettes, from the ColourPop palettes. And these are the pen sizes if you buy colors, if you buy shadows in single form. So this is a very light peachy color. And at first, when I have seen pictures of the palette, I thought that this would be a gold, but then in the swatches I have seen that it's way more orange and more peachy. So this is what the color looks like. I really hope that you can see it. Then the next one is from the Strawberry Shake palette. It's in the color Shake It Up. I've just popped it out and I thought it would be a good color match. I think that the one in the Natasha Denona palette has maybe a bit more darkness to it or a bit more of a brown tone. But I think when this color is applied to the eye you won't really see a difference. Then next I have a very light pinky shimmer, and it's also from the Strawberry Shake palette by ColourPop. This one is in the color Delish. So as I mentioned, it's a very light pale pink shimmer shadow and I really like this one a lot. It's very similar to the color Tickled, which is available as a single, so this is also an option, but I thought this one is a bit more closer to the color in the Natasha Denona Love palette. So the next one is called Sleeper. It's also by ColourPop and it's from the It's My Pleasure palette, but it's also available as a single. This is one of my best and most favorite purple matte shadows in my collection. I think that the purple in the Natasha Denona palette is a bit more cool toned, but I think it's pretty close. On the eye you wouldn't really see the difference, and that goes for basically every color. They are so close to the Natasha Denona palette that I think it wouldn't really make a difference. If I wear these shadows or the ones from the Natasha Denona palette, I could really create very similar looks. So this here is the first row swatched and I think it looks pretty close. Now I'm just cleaning off my hand and we will continue with the second row. So next we have a shadow from the main Squeeze palette, which is the red monochrome palette by Colourpop. And this shadow here is called Like It's Hot. And it's a beautiful, very, very bright red. I think the one in the Natasha Denona palette is maybe a tiny bit more warm toned and a bit more brighter, so it's more like a fiery orange red, but you will see that once applied to the hand and to the skin, this is also a very, very bright and vibrant color. And I think it's a perfect dupe for this color. So the next shadow is the one where I have decided to go for the formula instead of the color. I think that I would have had better color dupes for this shade, but I decided to go with the Shady Glow Galaxy Shadow in the color Acre. It's a beautiful, beautiful pinky color with a golden shift and tons of glitter. And the shade in the Natasha Denona palette also looks very, very stunning and glittery. And I think this one here is more of a straight up bubblegum pink. And the one in the Natasha Denona palette looks a bit more warm toned. So the color is not spot on, but the formula of this shadow is so good that I think that Natasha Denona has such great formulas in her palettes that I really had to have my Shady Glow Galaxy shadows in here. The next shadow is also from Shady Glow and it's also in Galaxy Shadow, but this shade is discontinued. The color is called Cleopatra, and I think it's pretty close to the color Insane, which they have now in their collection. So if you would like to have a color like this, then maybe go for Insane. And this shadow is so beautiful. It's very, very sparkly and it's a bit more sheer, but you can build it up as you can see. And it has a wonderful, beautiful reflect to it. Both have. This is such a beautiful color. I really, really like this shadow and I don't use it enough, so I think it's perfect that it's in this palette now. I think the one in the Natasha Denona palette is more of a berry tone and this one here is more of a just warm toned lilac color. But other than that, I think the formulas could be really, really close and it's a stunning shadow, so I also went for the formula instead of the color, but I think you can create really, really similar looks with these shadows. So the next shadow is in the color VIP. It is a Deep Potted BH Cosmetics shadow and it was in the Color Festival palette. So this one is a very dark purple metallic shadow and it's so stunning. It's very, very deep and rich and it's so beautiful. I think that the shadow in the Natasha Denona palette is a bit more on the brown side. So there is a bit of a color difference, but I think you can really use them for the same purpose and this shadow is so beautiful, so I'm really happy to have this one in my palette. Then the next shadow is from the Elsa palette by Colourpop and the shade is called Ice Crystals. It has a very opaque base and it is very, very rich in color. It's a stunning silver. I think this color is very, very spot on a dupe. So here's my second row and these colors look so beautiful together. I think this whole palette is so beautiful. Now I'm cleaning my hand again and I'll be right back for the third row. Now the first shadow we have here in the third row is from Colourpop again. It's from the main Squeeze palette and it's the color Frosé. This color has such a beautiful tone. I think it's pretty close to the one in the Natasha Denona palette. Maybe that one is a bit more grungier and maybe a bit darker. I don't really know, but I think it's really, really close to the color in the Love palette. I think that the mattes from Colourpop are swatching so good and they're also so easy to apply to the eyes. I'm really a big fan of the mattes from Colourpop. Then the next one is from Lethal Cosmetics and it's in the color Euphoria. It's this beautiful rustic burgundy color. And the metallic shadows from Lethal Cosmetics are so metallic and so creamy and so rich in color. I really love their formula, and I also really love their color selection because they're always a bit more on the grungy and muted downside, which I really like. So I think we have a pretty close dupe here for the Natasha Denona palette, and I really like this formula as well, so I'm really happy to have this shadow in here. Then the next one is again a match from Colourpop. It's a single shadow and it's called Wait For It. It's just a beautiful corally transition shade. So I have a lot of corals in my collection and I couldn't really decide which one to pick for this palette, so I went for this one. This one is more on the peachy side, and I also have some that are more on the pinky side, so I thought that this one is better fitting in here, so I decided to pick this one. Then the next one is a very pale pink color. It's also from Colourpop. It looks almost white in the viewfinder. I don't know how you will see it, but it's a very pale pink color, and I think this is the color that I really didn't have in my collection because I don't like pinks that much, so I don't have a lot of them in my collection. I want to stock up on them, but I just don't have a lot of them. I have some in my Strawberry Shake palette and some in my Ooh La La palette from Colourpop, but they're all too warm and too dark, so I decided to go for this very pale one. So I think this one is not a very close dupe, but it's fitting in here okay for me, and because I don't like these colors, I wouldn't reach for it, so it's okay for me now, but I think you could find a better and a closer dupe. But I decided to go for this one, and it's okay for me for now, and until I have a better dupe, I will keep this one in here. So the next shadow is from Colourpop again. It's from the It's My Pleasure palette and it's called Chic Lit, and it's a beautiful purple metallic. The thing with this shadow is that I couldn't really see in the pictures if this color is metallic or matte, and it looked like it had some shimmer in it, but maybe it's just a satin or maybe it's just a matte, and it looked like it on the picture, so I just don't really know, though I picked a metallic first, but I also have this matte shadow from Colourpop. It's in the color Try Me, and they are pretty close in color to each other. The matte one is a bit more on the warmer side and the metallic one is a bit more on the cooler side, but they are pretty close, so I don't really know what she has in her palette, so I picked a metallic one, but I could also swap it out for this one. Please let me know down below in the comments if you know which one she has in her palette. For now, I will keep the metallic one in my palette. So this is the third and final row of the Natasha Denona Love palette. So this is again what my palette looks like. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. It's very different to my normal content, but please let me know down below in the comments if you like this kind of content, because I really want to create more dupes. It brings me so much joy to create these dupe palettes. I also share a lot more of them on my Instagram, so please check out my Instagram if you're interested in more content. I just created dupes for the Conspiracy into Controversy palettes by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. So if you would like to see these dupes, then please go to my Instagram and check them out. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, and leave me a comment down below how you like this content and how you like my dupe. So would this dupe be good enough for you to not buy the Natasha Denona Love palette? Because for me it's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter if I don't have every color of the palette, because I think the whole color story is close enough for me to just fulfill my need for this palette. I'm only going to create dupes of palettes that I'm really interested in, so this video is in no way meant that you shouldn't buy the Natasha Denona palette, because if you like it and if you have the money for it and if it's a good purchase for you, then absolutely go for it. For me, it wouldn't be a good purchase because I don't really wear reds and pinks and purples together. This color story is so lovely to look at, and I'm happy to have this palette now here in front of me. And I have also used it for maybe 2 or 3 days, but now I got to the conclusion that I really wouldn't wear it more often because it's just not my color story. I just don't wear reds. And I think it's very beautiful, but it's so great to see that I can have this kind of color story, and it feels like a new palette in my collection. But when I'm finished with using this palette, which will happen in the next days or weeks, then I can just put the singles back into their homes and I can create a new palette for me. And I haven't purchased a new palette and I don't have more clutter in my life, so I'm really happy with duping palettes. And I won't be duping every palette that I would like to purchase, but here and there I really want to create dupes because it brings me so much joy and I just love it. I love to think about color similarities and formula similarities, and it's just so much fun. So I really hope that you like this video and that you enjoy my content. Let me know down below in the comments if you would like to see some other dupes on my channel, and if you have some palettes in mind, I would love to create them for you. And if I can't create them here, then I will post them on Instagram, so keep an eye on my Instagram account as well. And thank you all so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I wish you all an awesome day.